to my channel. Today we are talking about Queen Charlotte. If you know anything about Bridgerton, because you know I love Bridgerton, and we'll be talking more about that, about Bridgerton. But today we're talking about Queen Charlotte, which is a spinoff of Bridgerton. Oh my gosh, you guys, if you haven't seen the Netflix series, it's like 6 episodes, I think, and it's just basically the story of Queen Charlotte. So what I'm doing today, I'm going to be talking about a little bit of that, and then talking about just Queen Charlotte and her life and a little bit tidbits I know. So if you don't know about Queen Charlotte was actually born. When was she born? May 19th, 1744. Just a little while ago. May 19th, 1744. So she just celebrated a birthday. And she was born, I think, in Germany. And she was born to a royal family. And that's why King George eyed her, because she'll be fit, she'll do, because she's already royalty, and I want someone that's not in politics, and yeah, she'll do. So he chose her. George's mother, Queen Augusta, or whatever her name was. Correct me if I'm wrong. You can put it in the comments below. So they went after her, bought her to him in London. So I think it was like, I don't know. I think I heard different things, but I think it was like a 3-week or month trip just to get to King George in London. So traveling from Germany to London, it took a while. It took a moment. So when she knew that she was going to marry King George, she knew nothing about him. As just that her brother signed her off. At least that's the way they put it in the show. The brother signed some documents and just made the treaty, and yes, you can have my sister. So she knew she was going to wed. She had a dress already made up just for the occasion, and she traveled a long way there, and then she finally gets there, and what happens? She doesn't even get a chance to meet the king or anything, and or when they meet, there's like, oh, I'm sorry, she did. She probably met and then also wedded on the same day that they met. So, and then as far as the show goes, the queen was like, we have certain attire here. We have special things that we do here. We do things different from Paris and Germany, so you have to wear our attire that we have for you. Thank you. And she's like, well, I have my own dress, though. Again, remember, if you didn't know, and I just was reading, that Queen Charlotte was born into royalty. And actually, her name was Queen Charlotte Mecklenburg Sterling. And I know I'm butchering that up so bad. Mecklenburg Sterling was her maiden name. And her families were born into royalty. Her father was a prince, her mother was a princess, and she was already born into royalty. And she's like, traveling to London, I have to marry this guy. Don't know what he looks like. I just know I have to marry him, and okay, I'll do it for the family, whatever. Here we go. So they meet, and all of a sudden, okay, we're gonna wed the same day, the same night. They have the wedding, and during this time, as far as when you talk about the Netflix series, they wedded the same night, and on your married night, this is your wedding day. You have a marriage night, and she knew that they were supposed to spend together, not knowing exactly what you're supposed to do, but you knew you're supposed to spend the night together, and George decides to spend it elsewhere. And she's like, it's our married night. I'm supposed to be on my honeymoon and spend my married night alone? Like, why? And she never knew why. He's just like, this is the way things are. This is your house, and I'm going to be over here. I don't know if that's how it would happen in real life, but she was like in the beginning of their marriage, she had to learn the customs and everything. learn the language. Even though they spoke English, it was a certain way that they talked, so she had to learn the language that they spoke in London, and adapt to her surroundings and her new country, new husband, new palace. So here she is, the Queen of England, married to the King of England, and she was lonely because she had no friends. So, oh my gosh, so she had to learn the ways, but she had a close confidant. I forget his name, but he was her sidekick, helped her through, followed her everywhere. Whatever you need, Your Majesty, I'm here. I'm here to take care of you. Whatever secrets you have, if you need me to leave, I'll leave. You tell me to come, I come. If you tell me to bark like a dog, I'll bark like a dog. He was her right-hand man. But anyway, so Queen Charlotte was born May 19th, 1744, wedded King George on September 8th, and when they married, they had their wedding, but they didn't really have a wedding night. And then just a few days or a week or so later, probably a week and a half ago, on September 22nd, they had their coronation. Oh my gosh, they had the coronation, actually becoming king and queen, so that was magnificent. And again, they still have no real relationship because they didn't really get a chance to go know each other, because we didn't know at the time that King George was having issues. But we don't know this yet. So just about Queen Charlotte herself, though, I admire the story of Queen Charlotte because it just shows you how strong she was in her marriage. She wedded at age 17 years old, and she had a lot to learn. She was alone. She had to grow strong. She had to learn to hold her ground, and a lot of dictating was coming at her in every direction. At least that's what it shows you in the show. A lot of dictating. The Queen Mother was telling her this. Her council was telling her that. We had to do this. We had to do that. But yet she doesn't have her husband right in front of her. And then at one point, she went to her husband in the story of the show. She went to her husband and she was like, King George, I'm alone. I'm here by myself. You're the only person I know. Help me out here. I'm kind of going stir crazy because I'm on my honeymoon and I have no honey. Right? On the honeymoon, have no honey. And so he was like, well, we'll take care of this. And she's like, fine. So she goes back to the palace. He sends her a note. For you, my love, so you would not be lonely anymore. And what happens? She gets a Pomeranian. A little doggy. Which I love Pomeranians. I had a little Pomeranian. His name was Mickey. His name is Mickey, Mickeedawg, Mickey dog, because he wasn't a mouse. Anyway, so she had Pomeranian. Was given to him by King George. Now, in real life, they breeded Pomeranians for a long time at the palace. So that really didn't happen in real life. But in the storyline, so she gets the dog and she looks at it, she goes, what is that? What is that? And he's like, it's for you, your highness, sent to you by King George. It's a dog. She's like, that's not a dog. That is a deranged bunny. That is not a dog. That is a deranged bunny. And the poor little dog was so cute. And it said, she's like, I'm here for you to love me. And he's like, so for you, my love, so you won't be lonely. And she's like, ugh, here she is on your honeymoon, starting off her marriage, all alone, and we have nothing. We have no King George. And we don't know why. So during this time, the Queen Mother's like, just go ahead and bear it. She's trying to protect her from the truth. And she's just like going crazy because, again, she doesn't know anybody. And in the story, and I'm flipping back and forth, in the story, we learned that since the Queen was biracial, she wanted to kind of embrace the culture of them getting together. So she appointed somebody Lord. She appointed a few people Lord, and lady so and so, and you know. So with titles comes money. Yes. So with titles comes money, and so at least that's what I'm thinking, because one of her friends that we learned about, Lady Danbury, Lady Danbury, she was really good friends with, well, not in the beginning, but we learned that they become really good friends during the Queen's reigning, and she kind of talked her ways, like she's like, I'm on my honeymoon and nothing, because they're like, well, did they get together yet? And so they were trying to talk to Lady Dansbury and talk to her, because she knows she's talking to the Queen about, oh, how's the relationship going? Are they getting along? Are they really getting along? Because the whole point of them getting together was to produce an heir. The mother wanted to make sure she was producing an heir for the crown. So, and Lady Dansbury in the show was kind of the secret. Let me find out some information here. So, going back, so Lady Dansbury befriends Queen Charlotte. So she really wanted to respect Queen Charlotte's friendship with the Queen. But at the same time, she had the Queen Mother in her ear, like, here, my dear, here's some money, here's some whatever, you know, give me some news, give me some information. And what I thought was clever was Lady Dansbury held her ground and revealed just the basis of what she knew. Oh, Queen Charlotte is going along really well with the king. And the Queen Mother was like, well, how well are they getting along? Have they done the deed? Have they come together as husband and wife yet? Oh, they hang out together, yes, a lot, and she really loves it. And she gave her, it was really clever, she gave her really, really minor details. Yes, they hung out and they're getting along very well. They're both happy. Well, is there going to be an heir? Is she pregnant? Not that I know of. I will find out more details. Sip, 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 sip. So she's like, God, I gotta find out more details. But I respect that I'm Queen Charlotte's friend, and oh, we saw that you went to go see the Queen. So what are you guys talking about? So that's the whole Queen Mother was sending Lady Danbury in there for some 411. And then later on, Lady Danbury is befriending Queen Charlotte, and she's like, I really want to respect this relationship. I want to find out information because I know the Queen might be helping me. Kinda in the beginning, she thought, and then so she's trying to find out information. So how are you and the King getting along? Oh, King, you can leave the room now. We want to be alone. You can leave the room. So she can talk and confident with Lady Danbury. So she's like, Lady Danbury's like, have you and the King been together, consummated the marriage? Well, yes, we've been hanging out, but he's been mostly awake. So she's trying to tell the truth of like what actually going on. And then Lady Dansbury's like, but have you had your honeymoon? Have you been together with the King? And then Queen Charlotte's like, together? Like, together how? And so what I love about it, they had Lady Danbury draw some pictures out for the Queen. Like, these are the things like you could be doing, or you should be doing with the King. And she was like, oh. So she had all these pictures in front of her, and like, to consummate the marriage, of course. So, okay. So Queen Charlotte was like, oh, we should be getting together like that. No, that is not happening. And she's like, you're the Queen. You're everybody's looking to you to really make this happen and make a baby and make everything happen. And you need to get with the King. And so she's like, but how can I get with him if he's always away? And she didn't know why he was away all the time. And how do we get together? Because, nothing, we're not doing anything because nothing's happening. So Lady Danbury got some information. She meets back with the Queen Mother. By this time, Lady Danbury is having some personal issues in her own household. Well, her husband gets Lord Danbury, and so husband dies. So what happens to Lady Danbury? And so some other people of the town, culture people, African American people, I'm sorry, African people, because they weren't in America, people, they come and go, Lady Danbury, what happens to us now that Lord Danbury is gone? Are we still get to hold our position, our money? So Lady Danbury's like, oh, I must find this out. Okay, and she didn't want to run to the Queen because she respected their friendship and everything. So the Queen Mother asked for another meeting. Well, have we consummated the marriage? What do you know? What can you tell me? And she's like, well, one time she brings her son before they have the tea, and she's like, well, I wanted to know, I have lost my husband, and now that my husband's gone, what happens to our Lord, our son? So they interrupt the whole thing of calling the son Lord because they didn't want to know if that name was going to be passed down. And Lady Danbury thought they had more money than what they did, and Lord Danbury gambled it all away, didn't have as much money as they thought. So here we are. Do we get to keep our lordship, ladyship? What's going on? So she meets with the Queen Mother. She's like, I need to know if I get to keep my title, and I need to know what happens to my future. And, because when Lady Danbury came about, in her young age, she was groomed to marry Lord Danbury. Find out what he likes, what he wants, his favorite color, how he's like his women, his shape, everything. She was literally groomed for this man, this husband, who was just really old, ugly, and disgusting. And she did her job, and then one day she didn't have to do it anymore. He was gone, and she was free. So she didn't look at marriage as a very good thing anyway. So she meets with Queen Mother again, and so what news do you have for me? I heard that you spoke with the Queen. Well, yes, I have spoke with the Queen, and in the process, I've had a loss. And Lady Danbury goes, this is Queen Mother. I don't like you. Never have, never will. So, I don't care what happens to you. You make your own way. Oh, stop crying, my dear. Just have some more tea. Have some more crumpets. And you will get through this. We do as women do. We handle things. Blah, 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 blah. And so Lady Danbury's, oh, crap. Okay, what do I do now? I don't know what's happening to my future. And the Queen's trying to frame me, but Lady Danbury had the upper hand over the Queen, still not giving her all what the Queen wanted, which I thought was clever. Anyway, back to Queen Charlotte. So, love this turning point in the show. When Queen Charlotte comes into a role as Queen. Now, as I said in my videos before, if you don't know who you are, you'll never claim what is yours. Right? Right. So Queen Charlotte comes to know and remember her status of where she is in her life. So all this time, she's not with her husband. She's supposed to be on her honeymoon. She's supposed to be doing these picture things that Lady Danbury has shown her. And we still have no queen. He's off. I have this delirious, deranged bunny, and I don't know what to do with it. And that's supposed to accompany me, and it just looking at it just irritates me. And she's just irritated by the whole thing. Oh my God. And so, this turning point, her helper, I forget his name, I can't think of his name. You can put it down in the comments. Anyway, he's like, you are the queen, my dear. You are the queen, and as the queen, we have to follow your rules. And she's like, wait a minute. I'm queen? Wait, I'm queen. That's right. Take me to my husband. But the Lord should take me to my husband. I am your queen. You must do as I say. Take me to my husband now. So it's like, oh, you know what comes out, and she's like, take me to my husband now. I'm the queen. I'm tired of this all mystery crap. I don't know what's going on. Take me to him now. Take me to him now. So as she meets her husband, comes to find out he's going through this therapy torture, because he has issues of like anxiety and whatever else, but they're tormenting him, burning him, sticking his face in the water, trying to make him stop having these issues that he was having. And hold on. Okay. And so she sees this and she's like, you are fired, doctor. Everyone get out. Give me my husband. So she rescues her husband. Now she knows what the heck is going on, why he wasn't responding to her letters, because she was writing letters and no response, and he wasn't even able to read the letters. They were keeping them totally separated because they were hiding this issue that King George, that we find out, has. So again, I should probably do forewarning, there are some spoiler alerts here about the show. So anyway, she gets her husband, brings her back to the palace. I am moving in, bring all my furniture here, and we will be staying here. But queen, I am your queen, do as I say, we are staying here. So she nurses her husband, takes care of her husband, and they really, and even truly in real life, had a really bonding, beautiful relationship. They consummate the marriage. They consummate it a bunch of times. And Queen Charlotte bears 15 children. But before all that, they consummate the marriage. She ends up getting pregnant. And oh my gosh, when he learns of her getting pregnant, it triggers something again and he goes off. And actually, I think that's the last time when he finds out that she's going to have a baby. But she didn't know that he knew, though she didn't know that we know he knows, or something like that, right? Like in Friends. Anyway, so she didn't know that he knew, but that kind of set off a twitch and a anxiety, and he went on a rampage all this time. She's growing with child, and she don't know what's going on with her husband, blah blah blah. And then when she steps into who she is as queen, and she follows through as queen because she is the Queen of England, my husband, she gets to know exactly what's going on, and she actually helps nurture him. She helps calm him. She helps him through his anxieties and stuff. He had to go make a speech, and King George, all he did was hide in his carriage because he was so afraid to get out. But he had to make that public appearance, and they're like, he has to do a public appearance. And the Queen Mother was coming to the castle. May I speak to George? And Queen Charlotte is like, he doesn't want to talk to you. She finally came out. He's not available. He doesn't want to talk to you. I am his mother. He should be able to blah 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 blah. And she's like, he doesn't want to talk to you. Well, I'm his mother, and I born him, and she's like, and I am your queen. And the mother was like, oh, I love that part. The mother's like, oh, I see that you fit into your role very well. And she's like, you would know, you chose best, didn't you? And she's like, well, I'm his mother, and I am the mother of the big queen, as opposed to your little king that you have in there. And it was like all this little king, big king stuff. And she's like, but I am still your queen. No, you cannot see him. He's not ready to see you right now. You are dismissed. Goodbye. So I love when she steps into her role as queen because she performs as a queen. Again, going back to life, regular life, if you don't know who you are, if you don't know what belongs to you, if you don't know about your inheritance, $1 million, you'll never claim it, right? Right. So, she stepped into her inheritance. She stepped into the woman that she was designed to be, the Queen of England. And as the Queen of England, she used her powers as the Queen of England. So when you find out who you are and know who you are and you learn to operate in this world, you will do as such and you will not hold back because you know your rights and you know your responsibility and you know what belongs to you. If you know what belongs to you, you would never stop. Just saying. Anyway, so she stepped into her role as queen and she talks to the mother, she gets her husband out of that mess, and she really gets to know her husband. They fall literally over heels for each other and they have 15 children to stand for it. And what I love also about the show, they really emphasis or show the nature of true love. Again, if you don't have true love, you don't have much. You have something that's bubblegum and fake and that can fall apart really easily. But if you have a honey that's going through a lot of trouble, going through a lot of issues, like my husband, he's just reminding me today, like, I got your back, I'm with you, I'm in this together with you, and that is so wonderful to hear. Because, you know, we're not perfect, we're going to fail, because that's who we are as people. We fail, we make mistakes, things happen in life. But when you know who you are, you know what you have true love, you can conquer anything together. And that's what Queen Charlotte did. It hurt her to actually see her husband go through these different situations, go through these different tragedies in his life. And all she could do was just support him. And then later on in life, after they had the 15 children, I think they end up losing 2 or 3 children. Later on, Charlotte was pressing her children for an heir. We need an heir. Why don't we have an heir? I showed you what to do. I showed you the pictures. I showed you what to do. Why don't we have an heir? You're supposed. We need a legitimate child for the throne, not illegitimate children. We do not need illegitimate children. Say that 10 times really fast. We do not need illegitimate children as heirs to the throne. So we need to produce an heir because the boys were producing but not legitimately. So see, we said we need a legitimate heir for the throne. So that's how we came up with Queen Victoria. And Queen Victoria, we have Queen Elizabeth, and it goes down from there. So so she's like, we need an heir for the throne. Come on, get busy, let's do this. And through all that time, I learned also through history, the queen threw parties and everything. And one year was the Christmas tree introduced in 1800. Queen Charlotte introduced the Christmas tree to England. So I don't know how she discovered it. I don't know that part, but I know that she had a tree put up at the party and she had it decorated for her children. I think we need more things on this tree. And they show that in the show, that the queen decorates the tree, has it, and she's in love with the Christmas tree. Loves it, loves it, loves it, loves it. And also, what I also learned, just the history with Queen Charlotte, the friends that she had, some of them she never met in person. She was really good friends with Maria Antoinette. And I thought that was fascinating because Maria Antoinette's story was also really beautiful. She marries King Louis, I think that Louis, and the second, and they wed, and their marriage starts off because he didn't know how to be fruitful. So for 7 years in their marriage, weren't reproducing. It's Maria Antoinette's fault, and she's like, well, I can't do everything if he doesn't comes, I don't know. So the king didn't know how to be fruitful. So Queen Marie Antoinette is like, I can only do anything, but yet she's longing to be a mother. She adopts some children, some African children, and some other orphans to feed that mother instinct that she had. And eventually, 7 years later, they learn to be fruitful. Finally, after 7 years, King Louis finally learns how to be fruitful, and they produce. And the first child of Marie Antoinette's was a girl. And she's like, you may not be heir to the throne, but you're my heir, and everything I have is yours. And then the second child died, miscarried or whatever. The second child never happened. And then the third child, we have an heir. We have a son, King Louis III. And we produced an heir, and then the revolution, the French Revolution happened. So during this time, Queen Marie Antoinette and then Queen Charlotte, they were writing letters back and forth. I don't know how they started writing letters, but they became really good friends, pen pal friends, writing letters back and forth, and all of a sudden the letters weren't coming. And Queen Charlotte never knew why until probably a few years went by, and she found out that her good friend Marie Antoinette passed away. Or, I'm sorry, not passed away, was beheaded because of the French Revolution. And that really hardened her. So Queen Charlotte, showing from the show, led a really hard life, as far as very lonely life. And I think she learned to feel it by taking on her children. Although I heard that she wasn't the best mother, they didn't let their children go out and be married. The girls didn't marry right away. It took them years because she didn't want her girls to grow up and be pregnant all the time and be lonely all the time. And her daughters were very itching to go out into the world and be in society and everything. And it wasn't happening because Queen Charlotte and King George loved their children. They didn't let them spread their wings. And eventually they learned to, and that was good. But Queen Charlotte had a hospital, orphanage that they still run today. They bought many properties that are still used today. One that I know of is Buckingham Palace, that belonged to King Charlotte and George. I mean Queen Charlotte and George. And Frogmore was another cottage. I think Windsor's Castle, because she's actually buried in Windsor's Castle. And then Kew Palace, which I've never heard of until recently. Kew Palace, and I know there's several others, but I don't know the ones right away. But they had a bunch of properties because they had a bunch of kids. They needed some place to stay. So that was really fascinating. And very lonely. Queen Charlotte lived a very lonely life. She needed something to cope because I think she had her own anxiety. So in the show, you see her doing this a lot because she's sniffing cocaine. I guess they had it back then. She was sniffing cocaine, doing drugs just to help ease her mind through the loneliness, because she fell in love with her husband, King George. She was in love. They were in love. They had 15 children, for heaven's sakes. They were in love. And during that love and during his sicknesses that he had, his episodes that he was having, it scared Charlotte. It scared Charlotte that she separated herself from the king because it hurt her so much to watch the king go through so many different things. What I really love part of the show is that you see how Queen Charlotte comfort King George, and at one point when they were younger, she goes and she's looking for the king, and she's like, George, and George is having an episode, and he's hiding under the bed, and just, because he just wanted to be away from everything, just focus. And so she saw this, instead of going, oh my God, what are you doing? What are you hiding in the bed for? Get out from under there. Instead of doing all that, because we get irritated and we just, we want to snap out of it. She gently went under there, saw that he was there, and joined him. And just had a conversation, just him and her under the bed. Just, I'm your guardian angel. I'm here to help you. How can I help you? And then he remembers her. He remembers her. And he gets back to himself, to his calm self. So then they show this again towards the end of the show, or one of the episodes, where she's older now. King George is older, and she's excited because one of her children, they're finally going to have an heir to the throne. They're finally going to be grandparents, and the legacy of King George is going to go on. And so she goes and finds her husband, and where is he? He's under the bed. Years and years later, he's under the bed because he's having a moment, having an episode, and she's hiding there. And she goes, George, where are you, my love? And he's talking, and she finds him under the bed. So what does she do? She crawls under the bed and gets under there, and she's laying next to him, and she's like, oh, I'm your guardian angel. I'm back here to help you. And he's like, oh. And then George finally looks at her again and sees his wife and goes, oh my God, you didn't go over the wall. And she's like, no, I didn't. And we have an heir coming, George. We have an heir. So she was able to have a conversation, and he remembers her. He knows exactly who she is. And that is so remarkable, so precious. Oh my gosh. So if you haven't seen Queen Charlotte the show, it's an amazing story. Maybe some things were tweaked, but that's okay. It's show business. That's what you do. But I think I can't wait to read the Queen Charlotte book. Again, if you know about the Bridgerton series, in the book there is no queen, but in the Bridgerton series, the TV show, there certainly is a queen, and we love her and how she portrays, and you learn a little bit more about her life and stuff. So that is really interesting. So guys, I hope you love this story about Queen Charlotte. Again, I don't know all the tidbits. If you want to learn more, of course you can. There's lots of videos on YouTube that I've been watching, and there's lots of articles about the real Queen Charlotte herself. Oh, and first black biracial queen of England. So to attack that a little bit, Queen Charlotte, I guess, had African American blood, but it was 15 generations ago, down the line. So yes, she had relatives of African descent, but it was very, 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 very thin blood of African American heritage. So it didn't go very far. So all these pictures that have been painted with her braided hair, and her looking a little bit more African, like with the nose and the eyes and stuff, I think they were accentuated by some artists who were kinfolks of African American families. I don't know. I forget the name. I forget how to pronounce the names and who's who and what's what. But that might be a little far-fetched. But yeah, there's a big thing about, Queen Charlotte, she's black. Was she really black? And for realsies, it was, from what I've learned, it was very, 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 see this going down, very minute bloodline for being African American heritage. But we welcome the queen either way. And she did a lot of great things. George was known as Farmer George. King George was also the king that went mad and lost America. So there was a lot of positive things that went on. And true story that King George was really into science, really into numbers, writing things down. He was really had a telescope to look up at the stars and the moon and stuff like that, because he wanted to know what was out there far, far away. So really, really interesting, you guys. So I hope you enjoyed this story of Queen Charlotte. we'll be back again. I'll be doing some more inspirational stuff and talking more about Bridgerton. I am a busy woman, but I will get these videos out as soon as possible. Thank you for joining me. Take care. Bye bye.